everyone, and welcome along to another health and GELBeing session. Today we've got Cathy from Live Life Psychology down in Ormond. Hello, Cathy.
Hello there.
How are you?
Oh, as good as we can be. As good as we can be in this situation.
I know, crazy. We think we're now up to lockdown number 6, so it's been a little while because I know you've been very busy. We've been sort of busy managing the chaos as well, but we thought what a great opportunity to catch up with you. And today's topic, we're going to be talking about managing this uncertain world that we're living in at the moment. So team, in 2020, we did quite a few health and GELBeing sessions with Cathy, talking about a variety of topics, and you can pick them up in our Gel Anywhere library. But today we're going to dive into that, managing the uncertain world, because for a lot of us, there are a lot of things that are out of our control at the moment, and we need to do things to try and reposition ourselves. So if we start there, Cathy, with your experience, how do you sort of manage that uncertain world on your end?
Well, it's interesting actually, because it's something that I talk about a lot with clients, regardless of the lockdown issue, but never before have we probably in any of our lifetimes experienced such strange, events that are out of our control, somewhat out of our control, which makes it even harder. But the thing about uncertainty is it's always going to be there. If we think of uncertainty as something fairly natural in our lives, we can never be certain that next week we're not going to have a broken ankle or something else that comes up. So we've always assumed certainty even where it's not. So if we just get that on board first and realize, uncertainty isn't such a difficult thing on a normal everyday basis. But at the moment, we're sort of certain that we're going to have uncertainty. So it's a little bit more challenging in that way. But I always advise people to almost look like take a bird's eye view of your life. So almost float above your life and see from start to finish. Here's my life is a big picture of a whole lot of moving parts, a whole lot of interesting journeys, a whole lot of fascinating things that we achieve, and some really horrible things that we have to go through. And there's ups and downs. I look at it like landscape, like there's hills and there's mountains and there's rivers and there's tunnels and there's broken branches and there's beautiful blossom trees and there's all good and bad. And if we rise above it and have a look down, we know that at any given time, there's going to be easy and hard things that we're going to have to navigate. Yes. Some we're equipped for, some we've never done, and we're going to have to learn new skills. Some we're going to have to just grit our teeth and get through, and others that are going to be beautiful. So knowing that that's what we've all got ahead of us, no matter who we are, no matter what age we are, no matter whether we live through COVID years or war years or other years that have nothing much, terrible happening in it, there's going to be tough times. So realizing that we can do it, we all have to do it. We're all going to be, struck with really horrible things sometimes that we have to deal with family and friends. Just as we age, it's horrible getting older and croakier in the back and all of that. Given we're all going to go through it, we are actually equipped as human beings to do that, to get through it.
Yep.
So if we take this bird's eye view and see this mountain, which feels so hard at the moment, homeschooling, all of that stuff that we've sort of talked about in the past, it's all quite challenging. We do get over that mountain. Yeah. It's only one little mountain in part of a whole life of ours. And we just got to take a really deep breath and use some of the skills we'll talk about in a sec to just climb this mountain. There's no nice way to get over it. It's tough. It's tougher. This number 6 is tougher than any of them for a number of reasons, but we do get over it, and we can, but we're going to have to get used to being uncomfortable for a little while.
Definitely. And so when we talk about sort of that, the accepting of, what's going on, and accepting the fact that it is uncertain, and it may be uncertain for the next 3 months, 6 months, whatever that looks like. What are some of the things that we can do to help us accept what's happening?
Mm-hmm. So move to the certainty that it is just one mountain, a terribly difficult one, but it's one mountain at the moment that we navigate, and the rest of our life is still there to enjoy and explore and do other nice things. So really see the perspective.
Yes.
This is a time in the place that we have to get through. And we hope it's not going to be 5 months, 6 months like it was last year, because hopefully we've got a lot more knowledge on board, and we now have, options like vaccines, and there's talk about, a much quicker uptake of that at the moment than what we've had earlier in the year, which is good. So there's a bit more knowledge and understanding in the community about what we need to do to get through it. So hopefully it won't be as long as what you said. But even if that was the case, we got through it. We do get through it, and we find different ways to reintegrate. It takes a little while, but it happens. We know the certainty is we can get through this.
Yes. Yeah. And I think, and when I was referring to that uncertain piece, I mean, even when we go, for example, for us, when we get to open our doors and get back on site, you've still got that idea around it is still kind of uncertain, despite the fact we're out of lockdown, and that it may happen again. And, for a lot of the team and for a lot of our members, it's that transition sort of in and out that we kind of recognize and acknowledge, and coming up with, for me, it's around that routine. We spoke about that last year, and, how critical it is for me to sort of wake up. I hit the pavement early. I go get my at least 1 or 1.5 hours in early, because then I wake up and then I come back and I sort of get into the momentum for the day, and those sorts of things. So as humans, what do we go through when we are feeling uncertain, and when we're in that limbo? What are we experiencing?
It's a very natural kind of human trait to need or want to control situations so that we feel safe. That's just our animalistic instincts. I need to control it to feel safe. And so when we haven't got that control, when we don't know what the outcome is, there's an automatic reaction from the brain to say, I need to bed something down so that I can, ground it and make it safe for me, so I don't have the brain going off saying, we need something else. I need to do something. What's next, and panicking about the future, and causing a lot of, cortisol release, which is our stress hormone, and making our whole body just feel uneasy and uncomfortable.
Definitely.
So it's the uncertainty is the lack of control. So the more we can try and put a level of, we can control some of how we navigate this uncertainty. I can control the fact that I'm only going to have little meltdowns once a day. Pick your time. Sometimes, I find 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? That's when I can be as grumpy as anything. I'm going to let myself have a cry, or I'm going to have a whinge, or I'm going to complain about everything, whether it's politics or the weather or whatever it might be. And then I'm going to box it in at that time, and then that's where I leave it. Give myself my 20 minutes of whinge time, because I can then control that. And then the rest of it, I'm going to do the reassuring stuff and tell myself, we do get through this. We know how to get through this. We've done it before. We were more uncertain, I think, last year than this year, in terms of what this is all going to be like. I think we now know that idea that, once we get our, double zeros and whatever for a while, we're going to be fine. We now know that's not how it works.
Correct.
We now know this has got to be a rolling getting on top of it that has taken and will keep taking a bit longer than what we thought, which was maybe would all be done by last year. We have a little bit less uncertainty now we sort of know, adapting to a bit of an on-off start to things. We'll still be there for a little bit until we get this particular strain under control through hopefully the vaccination process, etc.
Yeah, definitely. And so in terms of the skills, so you said like being really conscious about the things that we can control. And, I know if I'm feeling a little bit of that sort of that uncertainty, but if I need to sort of refocus and realign, I clean. I do, the dishes, I put my washing on. I was speaking to one of our trainers earlier on one of our health and sort of GELBeing team check-ins with So Fortin, and she was talking about that, that routine piece as well for her. But are there other skills or things that we can use, or tools that we can use to help position ourselves when we're feeling that, to get that control back?
Yeah, well, one of those things was, as I said, create worry time. Specify, cut out a certain period of time per day. And that's great for kids too. If you've got little children, we say, okay, this is our grumpy time. Let's all put on the table, our grumpy thoughts and shout them out or whatever. Give it that makes it a bit of fun for them, but they can also, give you an idea what's going on. So worry time, allocating it, and then choosing how you want to navigate the other times in the day. You know,
Yes.
I want to get through this week with a bit more, I don't know, kicking my goals a bit more, you know, getting into them, getting stuck into them, or I want to get through a little bit more calm this week, or, you know, like absolutely having something that you're aiming to do so that you have that control over.
Yeah.
I can decide as soon as I start to feel grumpy, no, this is my calm week, so I'm not going to go there. I'm going to leave that till 3 o'clock worry time. Then I'm going to let loose, watch me fly. You know, so they're really helpful. But the other thing I was thinking about was really that time that you use for, if people meditate, that meditation time and things, using it to imagine yourself, you know, in the future, and actually experiencing some of the good stuff that you used to have in your life, or that you want to do. So actually bringing your level of stress and anxiety right down to, I can breathe through this, and I'm going to get through it, but I also want to know how it feels to be the version of me that I used to be.
Yes, absolutely. And remembering those feelings, and, you know, when you're at a celebration with your friends and your family, and remembering what that feels like, and knowing that we will get back to that point. Yes, we miss it, but it's just that remembering what it feels like. I really like that one, that visualization piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so much of the time we've spoken about meditation before, and, you know, using tools like Insight Timer, and there are so many out there, so many platforms now that you can use to give. We've spoken to this before, but around, you know, physically, when we do have a gym to train in, making sure that you have your rest days, but what about your head as well? For, you know, our brains, we've been going sort of nonstop now, sort of for 18 months of, you know, managing so many different situations that we've never been, you know, best prepared for in the past, and using tools like that, or checking out, you know, the Gel Anywhere clips, you know, we talk to them, but the sessions online with the team, the yoga sessions, and even the crazy hit sessions with Rachel and all that sort of stuff, because, you know, you visualize yourself in that space with that person, and it's kind of like you block everything else out for 45 minutes to an hour, and you feel better as a result of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just reminded me of another, you know, tool that we need to keep under our belt. And that was, you and I were going to do some of this discussion, I think, last week. And you said, when we just, or the week before, whatever it was,
who knows? Time
heard that the lockdown was happening, because we were going to be doing it live, of course. And then we just went, and you have to listen to that and give yourself, you know, a break. You know, so many people have been telling me, I don't want to take any annual leave, Cathy, from work, because where can I go? And I said, I absolutely understand that. So maybe you're not going to take your 2 weeks holiday where you might have gone, you know, overseas or interstate, but you can just take a few days off, you know, give yourself that holiday time where, you know, you can rest, you can not feel the stress, you can do the homeschooling with the kids without the interruption of work or whatever. Listen to what you need and give yourself that little treat. You know, we need it, we deserve it, a little bit of rejuvenation.
And we, you know, always need to just remember that piece, around you can't pour from an empty cup. So, you know, if you're pouring that, and that's where, you know, everyone's tank's pretty close to empty, I think, and that's where, you know, lockdown number 6 has been particularly hard. Like you said, listen to yourself, rest up, and try and be aware of the things that you can do as a result. Awesome, Cathy. Well, thank you very much for your time today. Team, if you've got any questions, or if there's anything that you would like to ask Cathy, please don't hesitate to either comment below, message Glen or Leisure via Facebook. Otherwise, Cathy, we wish you well, and thank you again for your time. We look forward to seeing you very, very soon.
Thanks, Rach. See you.
See you, everyone.
Bye. Ciao.